So I bought FIFA 21 this year to play pro clubs with some friends. Personally, I don't feel like giving $90 every year to a money-hungry, multinational gaming conglomerate, so I thought I'd buy the new EA Play Pro subscription to get unlimited playtime in both early access and when the game comes out. Cool. $20 a month? Perfect. I still very much enjoy FIFA, so I'm happy to pay $20 for the same game every year despite it having a worse UI this year. I physically cannot fathom how you fuck something up that's already fine. Anyway, which brings me to my next point. EA has disabled, yes, disabled intentionally crossplay on PC. It's not like the PC player base for FIFA isn't dead on arrival enough. They've decided to split up their new deal with Steam up into two player bases. To preface, I had to buy EA Play Pro on Origin because it wasn't available on Steam. Steam only had the standard version, which gave you 10 hours in early access and for the full game before you have to buy it. Okay, that's fine. I can still play with all my friends that bought EA Play or the full game on Steam. This is awesome and dandy. As soon as the game came out on the 9th, an update made it so that Steam and Origin can no longer play together. Let me repeat, a feature that was already in the game, that disabling it would hurt its already dead player base on this platform, was disabled on launch. I cannot fathom the technological gymnastics you gotta do to block crossplay between players on your own platform. Steam literally launches through Origin. How the fuck do you block Origin with an extra step from playing with Origin without an extra step? They blocked Origin from playing with Origin. Huh? Alright, if we play devil's advocate and look at it from EA's twisted perspective, it forces those who bought on Origin to buy on Steam to play with their friends, and vice versa. So if people really want to play FIFA, they most likely have to buy it twice. EA can get away with these quite frankly disgusting business practices because most FIFA players are mainstream audiences who pretty much only play FIFA on their desired platform. So they put up with the issues and workarounds and are okay with spending a bit more money to play because they don't really play any other games. EA have been fucking these people over for over 20 years, every year without fail. My friend Homie had a lengthy chat with, let's call him M, from EA support, who was actually quite helpful. Although he can't physically solve the crossplay issue himself, he did give somewhat of an insight into the madness. Homie tells him the issue and then M comes back with this. Ignore the notepad transcript and the really posh vernacular. Homie sent it to me like this and it's just easier to replace his name on notepad. As for the posh tone, I don't know what Homie was doing, but M seemed to copy him. Anyway, M says, so it seems like there's sadly not a single form of crossplay between FIFA 21 versions, even not on the same platform. So this means that people that are on Origin can only play with other people on the Origin platform. The same for Steam. So I am afraid that the journey ends here for when it comes down to Steam and Origin crossplay. I'm at a loss for words. Why and how does this happen? That's directly from EA. They're saying there is no crossplay. Not even on the same platform. What? Which is really funny because as Homie points out, during the beta version of FIFA 21, I was able to play alongside my brethren that indeed played on a differing platform. Do you believe this is something that will be resolved at some point in the near future? To which M responds, I indeed know that it was tested in the beta, but since it was beta, this doesn't mean that it will be in the full release version of the game from the release date onwards. It is possible, however, that it will be added to the game at a later date, but I am afraid that I have no information on that as of yet. The early access of FIFA 21 was not advertised as a beta anywhere. It might have been, as M says, but it's not advertised that way. There were 0 changes made during the early access apart from squad updates. So what else am I to believe than what I'm getting is the full game just earlier than others? From what I gather, the only change even after the game was officially released was the disabling of the fucking crossplay. The chat goes on. M states, since it was a beta version of the game, which is nothing more than a test version, this does sadly not guarantee that it will be in the game at launch or in the game at all at some point. Homie responds, well, it's merely due to the fact that it was not clearly stated anywhere that this feature would be abruptly removed from the full release. In which he adds a message from me. Also, it was advertised as early access in which you could use microtransactions and play the entirety of the game. Then M replies with this dumb response, I understand, but it was also nowhere stated that this feature would be in the game at release or in the game at all, right? From an official source from us? I'm sorry, but if it was in the early access of the game and it benefits your game with no expression of intention of removing it, I'm pretty sure that means it will be in the final release. EA is only hurting themselves further than they already have the past 2 fucking decades, just for a little extra money from PC players, an extremely small player base for FIFA compared to consoles. Homie claps back with an awesome analogy. I would compare it to them removing players' cards after opening them during the early access, as it wasn't explicitly stated they would keep them. And it's true. Packs are in the early access, they benefit EA, maybe not the game. There is no expression of intention of removing them or the players you get from them, so you can comfortably assume with no doubt they'll be in the final release. So why isn't crossplay, other than an insignificant amount of money for EA? There must be another reason. Anyway, the chat pretty much ends with this gem, and big thanks to Homie for sending his whole chat logs through. So what do PC players do now? Do we wait for community outrage and a patch to put it back into the game? Do we buy the Steam version or Origin version because EA won't budge when it comes to money? I've said it once and I'll say it again. I cannot fathom why you would flip a switch that basically pronounces the PC player base of your new title dead on arrival for a few extra bucks from a small portion of your total player base. There are currently around 11,000 people playing FIFA on Steam day one of release, with most likely less on Origin. Not to mention that 11,000 is across the entire world, meaning because the game is split further into regions, especially in Pro Clubs, which I bought the game for, where there's about 40 different fucking regions, the player base is extremely small. For a new $90 AAA game with a colossal mainstream audience, that doesn't scream good news for the longevity of FIFA 21. Also, from what I've read, it's not crossplay between the current gen and next gen consoles either, meaning PS4 can't even play with PS5. Not sure that's confirmed, but EA are just taking a pump action shotgun and shooting their own feet something crazy with FIFA 21. There's also arguments to be made that if refunds aren't awarded to Australian customers for deceptive and misleading practices, EA could get in a lot of hot water with the Australian government because of our consumer law. But that's a whole other story. I don't know what EA's executives in that boardroom are doing, but whatever it is, rest assured it's always fucking stupid.